A very good afternoon to Professor Green and his friends. We are representing the Health Promotion Board. My name is Wei Sheng.
My name is Zhi.
Hi, my name is Jesslyn.
Hi, my name is Adele, and today we will be presenting a campaign called Let's Get Vaccinated, based on the article Top 10 Reasons. If you had to convince someone to do something, what do you think usually works? How about giving them top 10 reasons as to why they should adopt a particular behavior? One may think that by giving more reasons, it will make it harder for the other party to say no. That's what this group of researchers, Weaver and colleagues, decided to challenge if such a persuasive strategy works in the article. Based on that article, we have come up with a campaign called Let's Get Vaccinated, and here's a brief overview of what my team will be covering today. Firstly, we'll be going through the summary of the content of the article, Top 10 Reasons, followed by the main research question, procedures, research findings, and conclusion. Secondly, my team will elaborate how we have used this article to apply it to a campaign. We'll be covering the campaign details, target audience, top 3 reasons, expected outcomes, and limitations of our application. The main research question was to investigate whether public service announcements designed with mildly strong and strong reasons will elicit a change in a socially desirable behavior. 4 studies were carried out during the research, and the independent variable was the type of campaign that participants were exposed to, while the dependent variable was how persuaded participants were in the survey. There were also 2 conditions for this study: the original list of mildly strong and strong reasons, and a shorter list of only highly strong reasons. The first 3 studies were discussed from the audience perspective, and if they are more likely to be convinced by many mild and strong arguments or a few strong ones in various contexts, such as smoking, voting, and exercising respectively. Whereas for the 4th study, it was based off the presenter's perspective, and if they came up with more reasons or just one strong reason when designing a campaign. The participants were shown one out of the 2 versions of the public service announcement. They were also asked to complete a survey that was sent to their email. A series of statements were found in the survey, and participants had to rate these statements. Some examples of the statement would be like, how important is it to vote? How likely are you to vote in the next election? Next, Wei Sheng will be elaborating further on the results of this study.
Thank you, Adele. So there are 2 findings to this research. Firstly, is that the audience were actually less likely to express an interest in quitting smoking, voting, and engaging in fitness after viewing a list of points that contain both highly and mildly strong arguments. But instead, those participants who read the modified version with few but strong reasons were more likely to view the attitude object with greater importance and express stronger behavior intentions. Secondly, is that when individuals took on the presenting role, they tend to give as many points as possible, which includes both mildly strong arguments and strong ones, because just to persuade other people. So what can we conclude from their research? The researchers have concluded that individuals tend to give more points when presenting information because they assume that when they present a list of persuading points, it adds more value to their argument, and that the audience will be more likely to be persuaded to change their attitude. However, as shown in the experiment, few but highly strong arguments are actually more effective than mildly strong arguments with strong ones when persuading target audiences in public service announcement. So the main takeaway from this research is that in order to increase the persuasiveness of the message, policymakers should adopt few but highly strong arguments when designing a campaign. So how can we relate this to Singapore's HPV vaccine situation? My team and I went to take a look at Singapore's Health Hub website, and we noticed that there are tons of information there. From what is HPV infection, to how it's related to cervical cancer, to how it's transmitted, and to the types of vaccine, is just too informative. Therefore, this information are only effective for women who have the intention of getting vaccinated. So what is the issue here right now? The issue is that most women are not motivated to take the HPV vaccine, which puts them at higher risk of getting cervical cancer and other HPV-related diseases. Therefore, my team and I have decided to start a campaign titled Let's Get Vaccinated to try to persuade more women to get HPV vaccinated. Now, my teammate Ji will tell us more about our campaign.
Thank you, Wei Sheng. Now, let me share with you more about our awareness campaign on HPV vaccines. We, representing Health Promotion Board, have proposed this campaign to challenge women to get on board to fight against cervical cancer. After learning that few but strong arguments enhance the persuasiveness of a message, we have then applied this in our campaign by listing only top 3 of the strongest reasons to get vaccinated against HPV vaccinations. We have identified 2 groups of target audiences. Firstly, preteen girls, and secondly, young women. Before we devised 3 reasons, we needed to know the problems they face to best tailor our messages. At the age group of 11 to 12, they face the challenge of parental consent as they are unable to get vaccinated themselves. And so our messages had to be logically sound to convince most parents. Whereas for young women aged 18 to 25, who are capable of making their decisions themselves, they may keep delaying the act due to the social stigma attached to HPV, which is one of the most commonly sexually transmitted disease. They may be afraid that people may make dispositional attributions about them and accuse them of having casual sex or, for worse, being a loose woman. We have then decided to use various media tools to get our messages across. Firstly, we will be maximizing our reach with young women through social media, as most young women are tech savvy and have high media consumption, and are more likely to see our messages through, for instance, our Instagram page that will post regular content as done wonderfully below. Next, we will hold a compulsory talk aimed at primary 5 and 6 girls in primary schools, where they will learn what is HPV and why it is important to get vaccinated early. There will then be discussion panels surrounding our 3 main reasons, mini games and prizes to be won, and lastly, an informative brochure that will be handed out to them to share with their parents at home and hopefully share what they learned from the talk too. So inspired by Weaver and colleagues' study, we have come up with 3 strong reasons to convince parents why their preteen daughters should get vaccinated. Firstly, there is no cure to HPV infections, which is a leading cause for cervical cancer. This means that if infected with HPV, the chances of getting cervical cancer will increase. Secondly, preteens have better immune response to the HPV vaccine as compared to those in the late 20s. This is a catch for preteens as they are at a higher advantage to fully reap the benefits of the vaccination. Thirdly, this vaccination offers 100% protection against the common cancer-causing strains, which are subtype 16 and 18. This is because their daughters are unlikely to have been exposed to any of the HPV strains from having engaged in zero sexual activity. We hope that after hearing our 3 arguments, parents will see greater importance in the issue and be convinced to bring their daughters to get vaccinated. This here is a poster that will be used to promote the mandatory school talk for young girls to try and persuade them to get vaccinated. While these are the beautiful brochures that will be given out to students at the end of our talk to share with their parents, highlighting the 3 main reasons I've shared earlier. These brochures will be also made into posters and will be plastered around the school compound to reiterate our campaign messages so that young schoolgirls will get accustomed to the idea of getting vaccinated. Now, let me invite Jesslyn, who will share with you more on our campaign details.
Thank you, Zhi. Now we'll move on to our campaign message arguments for our second target group, which is young women. The first reason is the same as for our previous target group. However, it is worth noting that HPV infections are more common for young women as they are obviously more sexually active. Hence, they will be more prone to getting HPV-related cancers like cervical cancer, in which we're seeing an increasing number of cases in Singapore. Secondly, we want to encourage young women to prioritize their sexual health over social stigma. If a woman gets vaccinated, her friends and more generally the people around her might think she's very sexually active and may view her differently. The idea for this reason is to encourage these women to do what's right for themselves over how people might view them. It can also open up opportunities for conversation regarding HPV and getting vaccinated, as we can use social media to share content with one another easily. Thirdly, we want young women to know that they are in control. We want to empower them to take action for themselves, specifically to go for medical checkups and get the vaccine. We all want to protect ourselves and give ourselves the best we can, especially when faced with highly potential risk. So here are the e-posters that will be posted on our social media page for the young women with each of the 3 reasons stated. And here's what our social media page will look like. With this campaign, we expect to see an overall higher level of awareness among our target groups, the female preteens and young women. By increasing awareness, it is likely that more females will opt to get the HPV vaccine. However, we don't know which target group we will expect to see more in the clinics. What we know is that the campaigns will work differently. In other words, with many external factors out of our control, the campaign for one group will definitely turn out better than the other. For example, one external factor is the different media usage, which can alter the effectiveness of the campaign. A school talk for preteens is more of a direct effect than social media posts. So imagine young girls sitting in the auditorium for the school talk, hearing much more information and being directly empowered by the speaker to take action. They would be more inclined to go home and talk to their parents about this. On the other hand, whether young women actually view our social media posts is not up to us to decide. Hence, the campaign for these young girls will turn out better than the one for the young women in this case. However, it could also be that young girls are shy and unsure how to address this topic to their parents. Using the same example of the different media usage with social media, it is very easy to share content with people. As young women are more able to talk about this subject compared to female preteens, they might be empowered to share the social media posts and talk about it to raise awareness, ending up leading not just themselves, but other young women to change their attitudes and get vaccinated. Hence, the social media campaign will turn out better for young women in this case. This leads us to the general limitations for our campaign. As said in our lectures, a change in attitude does not necessarily translate into a change in behavior. With these campaign efforts, we may change attitudes toward HPV vaccines, but may not cause people to go to clinics and get vaccinated. Another limitation is that many people may have their pre-existing beliefs, especially with social stigma. Parents and young women may not receive the campaign materials favorably, and even resist these materials even more than before because it is not in line with their beliefs. This is known as attitude polarization, whereby a person sees supporting evidence that something they don't support as a good thing. They resist this evidence. With that, we have come to the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening. We hope you took away some learning points. And ladies, remember to get a checkup as and when you can.